Hey everyone, welcome back to Adulting with Micah. Y'all, I did it. We did it. We have made it to the end of the 4th trimester. We have a kid that we have kept alive for 3 months. That deserves a round of applause, a pat on the back, and just a sigh of relief. Now, I mean, we still have to make sure we do this consistently for the rest of our lives, but it is a really big deal just to get her here. And so it is worth celebrating, and it is also worth maybe commiserating a little bit. But I wanted to just talk about how the first 3 months of being a mom has been, and just the things that I was not prepared for that I want to share, and just what my experience has been so far. So I will just start off with even just taking it back to the hospital, and in no real chronological order, but the fact is that I have decided to breastfeed, and it was very challenging. And I took classes, I took lactation classes. I required Demetrius to take lactation classes. But when it was time to get this milk to come in, it was a challenge. First of all, our daughter, I had iugr, intrauterine growth restriction. So our daughter was already small when she came out at 4 pounds, 10 ounces. And then coupled with just trying to get my milk to come in the hospital, it was a lot. And so, I think I shared in my birthing video, you have people who are constantly coming into your room, from social workers, lactation consultants, doctors, pediatricians, everybody's coming in. And, I was physically tired, but I was constantly trying to figure out how to get my milk supply to come in. And so it didn't come in the moment my daughter exited my body. My milk came in probably days later, and then consistently to a more mature milk, probably about 2 weeks later. It was really frustrating and really defeating and really aggravating because it wasn't working. My breasts were not, I felt like it just took forever. And, I was really also frustrated with myself because even though I attended the lactation classes, I don't think I fully understood what the process was. And now I just felt like I got hit by a bus with this C-section, and then now my daughter's here, and now I'm trying to feed her because she's underweight, and I'm in the hospital, and then I have all of these experts, lactation consultants and nurses, trying to tell me what to do and how to produce, and I feel like my body's just not working. It's not working on command. It's not producing milk on command. My daughter is crying and she needs some formula right now. And so it just was one of those things where I said, you know what? She's gonna have some formula. In the meantime, I'm gonna keep working through this. And there was a time where I was just like, you know what? I don't want to do it. I'm over it. I was a formula baby and I turned out just fine. Not saying that if you're a formula baby versus a breastfed baby, that is anything wrong, but I really wanted to try and go the breastfeeding route, but it definitely was harder than what I thought it would be. I just thought once the baby was out, ta-da, here's your milk. No, that's not how it works. I just had to keep being consistent. And, if you're interested in breastfeeding, please do more research, take more classes, and even talk to a lactation consultant, because I was recommended to talk to a lactation consultant, but y'all know me, I do stuff at the last minute and don't do what I did. Talk to a lactation consultant to truly understand what you're about to get into. In addition to, at the time when my daughter was sleeping only 1 to 2 hours for the first few weeks of her life, we had a ton of doctor's appointments that we had to go to. So let me take a step back. When I was pregnant, I would barely feel my daughter move. Sometimes to the point where I'm like, hey, you good? You in there? But at night she was up because I was very active. So she's asleep in the daytime, she's up at night. When she was born, she was still on that rhythm and motion of, hey, it's nighttime, I'm up. While for me, I was so tired. And so not only was I up, not just me, but my husband too, not only were we up at night, in the daytime she was asleep. And then trying to get her to slowly shift from daytime to morning time. So we would take her outside and expose her to sun a little bit, just so she could start to understand like, hey, it's time for you to be up now and not as up later. And so because of that, that shift of just being up essentially 24 hours around the clock for those first few weeks was really tough. And so that meant I had to call doctors in the daytime during core business hours from 8 to 4. And then the lunch hour, most of these doctors' offices were closed from like 12 to 2, depending on which doctor you called. And so it was just really tough, like being on hold and trying to figure out, okay, hey, I need this specialist who can get my newborn's platelet count. Oh, this isn't the department. You need to call that department. And then being on hold with that department for like over an hour. And then finally, when you do get an appointment, you're at these really large hospitals, but you don't know where the heck you're going. I remember like week 2, we had to take her to the doctor and I was so upset. Like we had to get her blood drawn and we're walking around the hospital. It's a new hospital we went to where the specialist was. And I'm like, excuse me, where's this department? Oh, I think it's this way. We go this way. Sorry, this isn't the department. You mean to go on the other tower in the wing. And mind you, like I'm still healing from my C-section. So pushing a stroller, which also too, by the way, you're not supposed to carry anything larger than your baby, but the stroller has to come because the baby needs to be in the stroller. And those strollers are at least a smooth like 20 pounds. So thankfully I had Demetrius with me most of the time, but there were times where like I had to like take her myself and it was really stressful and it hurt because I was still healing. So that was something that I did not have any idea about, but you know, I'm happy that we took care of all of that in the first part of her life. Like the first 3 weeks were the toughest because again, she was born smaller. I was trying to breastfeed her. We had a ton of doctor's appointments. And so just adjusting to that new schedule and sleep deprivation, that was a lot. And then coupled with also too, we were just hosting a ton too. So, you know, we're entertaining everybody that's at our house as well. So like when they say, oh, sleep when the baby sleeps, you know, I didn't do a good job at it, but mostly just because I was just trying to kind of keep up with everything. So her sleep schedule has been something for the first few weeks. It was the toughest because again, she's new to this world. She's trying to navigate what the life is outside of my womb. So getting her up every 1 to 2 hours, I think that was a schedule that we had from week 1 to 3. By week 3 to 4 and 5, and you can monitor this based off of your baby's development. Even though she was born on the smaller side, she has a really great appetite. So she eats like me. She eats a lot. So, you know, she was able to start to sleep some more. So 1 to 2 hours after 3 weeks moved to her sleeping for 2 to 3 hours, which that extra hour of sleep truly makes a difference. It truly makes a difference. And so it starts to give you some momentum. During this time, we also had family and friends that came into town that we hosted. So it was great to, you know, pump a bottle of milk, give it to a friend, give it to a family member to feed our daughter so that I could have 1 extra hour of sleep. Or, you know, I could just go run an errand, go get food for the house, go get groceries because, you know, you're trying to create a schedule of feedings for your kid. And so during that time, you know, I'm sleeping a little bit more. I'm able to get, you know, a little bit more time. So as the weeks are going by, as we were hosting our house and just also too, Harper's getting bigger, she's starting to sleep longer throughout the night. And so I'm happy to report that she can now sleep up to 5 hours. I still get her up every 4 hours just so I can get her up, feed her, change her, and then put her back to sleep. But she sleeps mostly throughout the night, which is really awesome. And I feel the difference in myself where now I'm starting to use that time, those extra hours for time back to myself. And it has made a world of a difference. But that didn't happen probably until week 11. So it was something relatively new. It wasn't our new normal. And I'm also told that by like, you know, month 4, there could be like a sleep regression. So I don't want to get too comfortable with where she's at, but I'm very appreciative of this moment and where she's at in terms of her sleep. And then also too, she was born late fall, early winter. So there's COVID, there's RSV, there's flu. I'm sure there's something else floating around too. So like keeping her in and like making sure that those who are going to be around her either wear a mask, you're vaccinated, you have your shots, because you know, the hospitals, the children's hospitals, there were no beds available. So how about we just try and reduce our risk and just minimize the amount of exposure that we have for her. And thankfully all these things worked out, because it was helpful for me to just, you know, me and Demetrius had to like tag team with Harper, but it was really nice to have another grown up in the room. It was really nice to be able to, you know, talk about something else that's happening in the world, or just have loved ones around that really care about your kid and want to just see them grow and develop. So we really appreciated that. And now that we are entering month 3 for her, she, you know, we're getting more comfortable with just getting ready to hopefully travel again soon. We got plans to take a little family trip somewhere, and other things we have to look forward to is just her being able to start to slowly socialize with other little kiddos. Now that she'll have all of her shots soon, because the big thing that we were worried about is her immunity system. And if, you know, she gets sick, you know, we just want her to be as safe as possible. So now that she has most of her shots, we can start to do a little bit more with her and go other places, because I have been getting a little wanderlusty and just wanting to do something and go somewhere, and just, you know, get out the house a little bit more. But the next thing that we will definitely need to talk about above all else is daycare. I know. It pains me. Yeah, we're gonna have to start looking at daycare options in the next few months. So that is something from months 3 to 6 that we will definitely need to figure out, because as my maternity leave ramps down, and so does Demetrius, we'll have to figure out what care looks like. So we will have a whole video about daycare and all of that. And the cost, we've already gone to 2, and my goodness, like I don't understand. But you know, it's our kid, so we want the best for her. So we'll have to figure that out. But as of today, I do not know what our plan is, but we'll figure it out. It'll work itself out. You know, it's all a part of the adulting. If you or someone you know has recently had a baby, how was that experience? What's been going on? What worked during the first 3 months? What didn't work? Was anything that I said relatable? I would love to know in the comments below. As always, if you're not subscribed to this channel, please click that subscribe button, ring that bell for notifications so you'll get our videos that we'll send out on Fridays. And I'll see you on the next video. Take care.